Hey there everyone, welcome back to Gamevine, and my name is David, and this is
Chris.
And this is
Trevor.
And they're back with me so we can review the game of Boss Monster. Now this one is the Kickstarter edition. As you can see, it has this cool shiny golden sleeve, but this is the actual box for Boss Monster. So Boss Monster is a tableau building game. What I mean by that is you're going to be taking turns putting down rooms in front of you, building your dungeon, because the theme of this game is you are a evil boss monster and you're trying to take out those heroes that are a nuisance in your dungeon. And the bigger your dungeon is, the tableau in front of you, the better chance you have of withstanding those heroes coming in and trying to kill you.
Yes.
And this is the first game that Brotherwise, the company, has produced, and it's kind of a pixelized version of it. And
it's like playing a video game.
Yeah, so this is a game if you have like a video game friend.
Hey.
This guy right here is totally into video games. This is a good incorporation into the world of card games or board games for them because it's kind of nostalgic, and now the art is pixelized, and I know that's being overdone nowadays, but this might be a good choice on their part. So without further ado, let's show them the art on these cards and get to how to play this game. So these are the components in the Kickstarter edition of Boss Monster. Now again, that's what this is. So you might see some promos that you don't get in the standard version, and these metal coins, of course, are just going to be markers when you level up. Now these come in the Kickstarter edition. I do want to send out a huge thank you to my good friend Tony Miller, who has his own publishing company called Bearded Rogue, so go check that out. He actually gave me the sleeves and the promos that come with the Kickstarter edition because I sadly was not able to participate in that. Alright, so let's go over the cards. You've seen the metal components of the coins here. You won't get those, but you don't really need them because that is concerning with the level up portion of the game. Now, these are the hollow bosses. Again, that's what you get in the Kickstarter edition, though I do have the regular ones here in the back of the sleeve, and this is what the back of the cards look like. And the cards are standard production. They're pretty good, better than most. And there's King Croak, there is Robobo, Cleopatra, and this guy that has a whole bunch of just letters in there. And I do want to go over some of the promo here, boss monsters that I got, so let's go over those now. So here are the promo boss monsters that you get if you were able to get the Kickstarter, and I'm just kind of flashing them off. The favorite one that I have here is Hellcow. Now sadly you cannot get these. I'm just kind of putting these out there to incentivize you to go to the next Kickstarter that Boss Monster has, because you will be able to get a whole bunch of cool promos if you do so. So the next cards that we have here are the room cards, and these are what you're going to be building your tableau. This is the bulk of the game right here, and there are different types. The structure of them, I got this one, this is a promo and I got it signed, whatever. There will be the loot down here. This is how much damage the actual room does, and then it has the title. It will have an ability, maybe, most of the time it will, right here, and you can read that on the card. And the room cards are this on the back. Then last few cards that we have here are the spell card, and there's a cool one called Teleport, and I'm pretty sure you know what that's referring to. And there's one that has this guy on it, Jeopardy. So they are kind of taking humor off of different video games and kind of peppering them in, which is I appreciate so very much. The last few cards that we have here are hero cards. Now this is these are the heroes, and they're going to be plowing through your dungeon trying to kill your boss monster, and their structure is their life points here. This is how much they take to kill, and this is a damage wound marker. I'll get into that a little later, and this is the loot that they require for them to enter your actual dungeon. The other stuff on here, they'll have abilities as well. And the last few cards, again, there will be promos. Demigod is one of them. This is the epic heroes. Now they're a lot stronger, and they're gold on the back, and there's Pixel Lincoln, and I let you guess who that is. Those are all promos, but these are the ones that you're going to see, like Thief and Fighter. Now I don't have all the cards in the picture, I just wanted to show you a little bit. Now that we've gotten those out of the way, let's show you how to play. Alright, so I have the game set up for 3 players. You start with 5 room cards and 2 spell cards in your hand. Now you'll be drawing 1 room card at the end of the turn, but it's going to be really hard to get more spell cards, so keep that in mind. Then you'll give each one of these people here a coin. This is going to signify their level up when they get their boss monster to that point. Let's do give everybody a boss monster now too. You'll either do it randomly or you can pick one. Let's just do Cleopatra, King Croak, and Draculord. Now this you'll put in front of you. This is going to be the start of your dungeon. Well, at least the end of your dungeon, I mean. And then the start will be on the back here. And lastly, you will take both sets of heroes, put the epic heroes on the bottom of the regular heroes, and put them in the middle of the table. Now this is where you're going to have a town hall, and you're going to be drawing these heroes, and they're going to be trying to go into your dungeon. The last thing I want to mention is everyone will take one room card, put it in front of them, and build it automatically. This gives you a little bit to start off with, because if you didn't have anything, heroes can just come and pummel you. So now that you have the components all set up, you're going to start the game. I do want to note each one of these boss monsters has an experience point, and this is the way that the turn's going to go. So the person with the highest will go first, the person with the next highest will go next, and so forth and so on. So the turn isn't going to be back and forth or just kind of going around the table necessarily all the time. So the first thing that you do is heroes will appear in Town Hall. Now you will flip as many heroes as there are players. So you will do this, and each player will draw a room card to replenish their hand. So they'll get one of these, and now you've done the first part of the turn. The next one is the build phase. Now this is where you can build a second room. Everyone will take one of their cards, put it in front of them face down, and then they will start to reveal them in the order from first to last. And it doesn't really matter in this case, but you can read the text, you can do whatever you want. You do have to pay attention to the loot at the bottom, because in the next part of the turn there will be a bait phase. The one thing that I do want to mention about the rooms, there are two different ones. There are a gold emblem one, and there is a silver emblem one. Now these are basic rooms, and the gold one have to be built on top of basic rooms that have the same loot as the one underneath it. So this advanced room can be built on top of this dark altar, and you would just do that on your build phase just like this. So if this one was here, they would take their build phase, put it right here, and on their revealing they would do that. Now this might help them out, because if this room gets blown up, the room underneath it always stays until it gets discarded. And there are monster rooms and trap rooms, but that will tell you why that is important on the card. Now we're going to go on to the bait phase, and now that we've done the build phase. This is where we will lure the heroes into our dungeon. And this is going to matter when it comes to loot on the bottom of your dungeon. So when the heroes are revealed, you have a little intel on if you want the heroes to come in, and you know if you can beat them, or if you want to put more of that particular loot out. So we'll start with this guy because he came out first, and he's going to go to whoever has the most swords. And there's one here, there's one here, there's one here. So in this case, all the fighters are going to stay in town, and they're going to go to the person who has the most swords on the next turn. If it doesn't happen, it's going to continue to build up, and they might get a whole bunch of fighters. But let's say there were different types out right now. There was a cleric, there was a thief, and there's a mage. So again, we will go from the left and continue down, and the person with the most clerics is this person over here, because your boss always has a loot on it, and he will get this one, putting it at the end of his dungeon here. The person with the most thief tokens is tied, but the mage tokens is also tied. But let's say this room right here is there, so the mage will go here. Now we're going to go through the part where the heroes actually go through your dungeon. Now you'll start with the person with the highest XP. Okay, so let's focus in on this character here. Now he's going to have to defeat this this health of 8 mage. Now they're going to be going through your dungeon, hitting every room until they are able to, if they can, damage your hero. And when they damage your hero, you'll just put them underneath your card. This signifies that you have 1 wound. Now it takes 5 wounds to be eliminated from the game. Yes, there is a player elimination, but you can also defeat them and gain their souls. Now you will have them on the back here, so being sleeved, it kind of hurts, but all the regular heroes have 1 soul on them, and in order to win the game, you have to be the person to collect 10 different souls. Now on the epic heroes, they will have 2 different souls. Now the game will continue until all players are eliminated, or until that person gets those 10 souls. So when the heroes are going through the dungeon, though, people are going to have opportunities to play their spell cards. Now there are some cards that will manipulate the dungeons here, and there are two different types of cards. There are ones that have both icons on them, and there are ones that have just one or either of the icons. This means you can play this during the build phase, and the one that has just the axe on it means you can play during the attacking phase of the heroes. So people are going to probably knock out some of your rooms and freeze them or blow them up and try to keep the hero going through your dungeon. So that's how a hero attack phase will go. You'll start with the person with the most XP, and then you'll go to the next person. They'll execute it until all the heroes have been either executed or gone through. So after the bait and adventuring phase, you will do the end of the turn, and this is where you'll deactivate any things that may have freezed your dungeons, or if anything is on there that needs to go away, that will happen then. And again, as when I was showing you this here, so this has 0 life, this has 2 life, and this has 1. This 4-level hero would have made it through. But of course, so would that 8. So you really have to have a lot of rooms out to set yourself up for success. Now let's talk about the level up. When you level up, you get a special ability that will tell you exactly what it does. And I know that's quite the glare there. But you will flip this coin just to signify it, because it only happens once. But that happens when you build your 5th room. So you have to have 5 rooms out. Once you do that and you reveal your 5th room, you level up and then you execute whatever it says. So you'll continue to do this process, beating the heroes, playing rooms, playing spell cards, until one person eventually gets to 10 souls, and or all of the other players are eliminated and you are the last man standing. So now that you know how to play the game, let me go over a few of the cards so you can get a flavor on how these actually work. So I'm going to go over a few monsters here. This one here is level up. You may draw 3 spell cards and then discard a spell card. This is one of the ways you can get spell cards. There are other rooms and or spell cards that allow you to get that, but those are the only way that you can draw them. So that's a good one to have. Robobo, each opponent must choose and destroy 1 room in his or her dungeon. So that's kind of mean. And this guy here, choose 2 cards from the discard pile and put them in your hand. So they can change the game, and I can show you the promos, but I don't want you longing for those, so we're not going to. Let's show you the room cards now. So some of the basic rooms that we have here is Spectre's Sanctum. When you build this room, choose an opponent. That opponent discards a random spell card, so that's pretty mean. You have an advanced one here. This is a advanced trap room. Destroy another room in your dungeon until the end of turn. This room has +2. So this is another one. This is one of my coolest, my favorite ones and the coolest ones in the game. Once per turn, you may discard 2 rooms cards to choose 1 room from the discard pile and put in your hand, which can be absolutely crucial. The Succubus Spa, that's always a funny one. Choose once per turn, if a hero dies in this room, choose an opponent, take a random room or spell card from that opponent's hands. That's mean. The Centipede Tunnel, when you build this room, you may swap the placement of 2 different rooms in your dungeon, which is pretty cool. And there are other ones here. The Liger one, that's pretty funny. Once per turn, you may play a spell card, then draw a spell card. So like I said, those are the cards that are going to allow you to really get more spell cards. And it keeps going on like that. Construction Zone allows you to build another room immediately, which is awesome, but it doesn't have much of an attack, and it just keeps going on. There's some Metroid kind of nuance there, and there are some games in here represented, but I would love to see even more. And let's go over a few of the spell cards. Zombie Attack, you can choose one of the opponent's defeated enemies, heroes, and bring them back to life with +2, which is fantastic, and they're going to go through the dungeon again, so they have to beat them. Now, Jeopardy is just awful. All players must discard their hands and then draw 1 spell card and 2 room cards. Like, come on. Teleportation, this is the first half. Send a hero in your dungeon back to the first room of your dungeon, so you can have them go through all the dungeons except for 1, and then play this, and then he has to do it again. Counterspell is what it is, and that's kind of Harry Potter, of course, and it just counterspells. Assassination, you choose a hero in your opponent's dungeon, give them +3. So these spell cards are really mean, and there's not really too many that help you, but there are a lot that really hurt other players, but there are a mix of both. And this is the other part of the teleportation. I mean, portal, I love it. And giant size, you just make another monster stronger, or the the room, and the freeze just freezes one of the rooms in the opponent's dungeon. Now let's go over the cooler cards, the heroes. First, we'll go over the basic ones. We'll just go over a few, and there is a 6th thief, and it has a whole bunch of flavor text. I don't normally sit down and read this, but if I have some downtime, it's fun to do, and I'm glad that they added that. There's a mage of 8, there's a cleric, mage, 4 mage, there's a whole bunch of stuff like that. And if you pay close attention, you can see some familiar characters within these cards. I'm just kind of skimming through them. I like that kind of monkey thief guy right there, which is pretty cool. But you really want to see the epic heroes, right? So those are up next. Now this thief is just ridiculous. He is worth 2 wounds and 2 souls though, but he's a 13, so good luck trying to kill that guy. And it continues there. That fighter, his armor is really cool. I like this character. And the monster hunter is Sid from Final Fantasy. I love that. It's pretty cool. And I showed you the other ones. So now that we've showed you everything about Boss Monster 1, let's tell you what we think and give this game a grade. Alright, so that was Boss Monster in a nutshell. Now, I'm going to be giving this grade personally a letter and or a percentage, and I settled on an 81%. Now, I'm going to say that there is probably a little bias in there, and it's just because I really like this game and the company. Of course, you can see all the signatures plastered all over my copy. It's Brother Wise, Brother 1, and Brother 2. They produced this game. They are so nice every time I see them at a convention, so I just wanted to give a friendly shout out to them because keep doing what you're doing, you got a fan in me. Like I said, 81% is pretty high, and a lot of people might give this game a lower grade, but that's not me, and I'll get into why I like it after I hear the grades from you. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to go from a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to say 8.
No, that's about what I did. No?
Yeah, I like it. I really do enjoy it. I like the fact that when you build your dungeon, the cards are hidden. Mm-hmm. You know, until you reveal them to determine who's going to come to your dungeon.
Yes.
Which could affect, you know, later. I mean, like if any one of us played the same treasure, we could help or hurt us.
Well, in the beginning of the game, you don't have that many dungeons, so
right,
you want to try not to play loot. That's what you call those heroes. So you might save each other, like you said. Or you might like lose your hero when you're trying to. You want to get that sword out, but somebody else plays a hero sword, and you're like, dang.
So the first time you don't really know, but when you get past the first turn, that's when you really get into like the scheming or not scheming, determining on what you think they might play.
Well, you're an art guy, so pixelized art.
Pixelized.
That fall? I know sometimes you don't like that. Right?
I don't. You're right. I don't like. I really don't like a lot of the pixel art, but this art isn't really that bad. Yeah. I mean, you can still make out everything.
They went like a 16-bit or maybe even higher because they have character and detail in this art.
Because I feel like when you go with the pixelated, you lose a little bit of the art.
Oh, you lose tons.
Right.
So, yeah.
But this one you don't. I mean, you see the character. Yeah. And like you said earlier, you get a feel of they've kind of connected this to other games and other things.
Now, because of copyright infringement, they stay away from, you
can't
really
say,
like there will maybe be a character that's a female Bowser. And that's how they get away with it.
Well, I feel like and I know we haven't covered it, but I feel like in Boss Monster 2, they flirt with that a little more.
Oh, absolutely. Way more. Yeah. So we've really ignored you this whole video.
Hey, it's okay. You guys are so pretty. I just like watching.
What's your grade? What do you think about it?
I would give it an 8.5. I know that's kind of copping out and
I like
doing it.
I think a point.
That's
okay, decimal, fractionals.
Yeah,
okay. No, I like this game. It's a fun game. I'm not gonna. I don't know, get into the aspects of it quite as much. I just, for nothing else, I like it for nostalgia reasons. You know, I grew up, like, my first gaming system was an NES with, with a power pad and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So seeing pixelated stuff on here and little kind of nods to old games and stuff like that, and especially, I know we probably have planned to cover Boss Monster 2.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Boss Monster 2 was just like, okay, they full-blown went with it without really getting, in trouble with the copyright stuff. But I really like the game. I like the concept. But yeah, it's funny because sometimes you get in over your head and you don't realize, you might be screwing yourself or you all might be screwing each other up.
Right.
But I like the aspect that it's isolated to you. You're building your own dungeon.
Right. Yep.
You can kind of plan ahead, but at the same time, it's kind of what was that? There was another game I was thinking of. I can't remember now, but you can hurt other people though.
Yes,
I mean, it's
yeah.
isolated to you, but it's not like you're completely in a bubble from the rest of the players.
Right.
It's every man for himself, but at any moment, at that phase where they can play their cards to come at you, I mean,
Yep.
you might go from being set up and it's really going to start rolling, and then this guy throws a spell. He
Yes.
did that to me the first time I played this. He completely destroyed me. I was
Yeah.
not okay with that.
I got lucky. So
But
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a great game, and I know you. Every time we want to play, you always want to play this game.
Yeah,
Always.
I mean, you've played it about 3 or 4 times with this.
Yeah, I haven't played it a lot, so I'm a good. I guess if anything, different, especially from this guy and these guys. 'Cause
Well, we started
I'm kind
with
of like
this.
a
Yeah.
beginner aspect for you, so
Boss
I can
monster.
give you like a newbie opinion of this. And from somebody that's only played it a few times, I think it's definitely worth your money, definitely worth your time.
So I'm going to touch on that because what I think about this game, the reason why I got an 81% is I think it's great for new players.
Absolutely.
It's a good, fast, not large card game where you can most people are going to know video games. Even if it's an older person, they're going to be able to have fun with the cards, and it's easy to teach. Once you know that you're just building up this room and trying to keep those heroes out, you are full steam ahead and you're trying to get those soul points. And yes, they are trying to touch on the nostalgia with the pixelized art. And
I thought so too. Yeah.
it's not a bad thing though. A lot of people try to do this and fail. They pass, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But they had a second one, so yeah.
The gripes I hear a lot of people say that on this game is it's completely random when you come up with the heroes, and sometimes you can't do anything at all to manipulate your dungeon. When you have a small dungeon, there's a whole bunch of heroes coming there. So and
I can see that.
people don't like that, and they take a whole bunch of damage, and then you get eliminated from the game.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of elimination, does elimination of this game hurt? Is it a terrible thing? I mean, because you can get knocked out. It isn't a crazy long game, but it is longer than some elimination games. And if you get knocked out in the beginning, if people are just mean to you, you can be sitting for a half hour, which I think is another gripe about this.
No, I think it's fun.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm just playing devil advocate.
No, I see
Yeah.
what you're saying. I think it depends on what your style of gameplay is. I mean, if that's something that's such a huge negative to you, then you probably should just stick with like co-op games and stuff like that. I mean, if you're into really competitive gaming, then you shouldn't care about the fact that there's a possibility of knocking somebody out because you're competitively trying to knock them out of the game. It's the same with any other game. Even if you don't get knocked out of the game, you're still trying to put somebody at such a disadvantage to where they can't beat you. So the only problem is they're completely separated from the experience, and that is a little bit of a negative.
So those are the negatives, but the positives are greatly outweighing all those, in my opinion. I like the art, I like the way that it plays. I fell in love with this game when I first seen this copy that Tony Miller gave to me. He also does a podcast. Watch out for that.
It's like Legend of Zelda, man.
Yeah, that's
totally,
again
totally.
a nod to the gaming world.
Yeah.
And I seen that the way that it played, and I liked that you were actually on the other side of the game, and you were a monster
Right.
hero, boss.
Instead of the hero, yeah.
Instead of the
you're
hero.
Always
so
just for that. Yeah.
that just really intrigued me. So I like this game just a ton, and I, of course, am going to be giving you, we're going to be giving you the review for the Kickstarter edition of Boss Monster 2.
Great
So
game.
stay tuned
Right.
for that. But before we do that, there is a small expansion that we're going to get into. So let's shorten this video by stopping it right now. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into this review of Boss Monster. My name has been Dave.
Chris.
Yeah.
Trevor!
And have a great rest of your day and a great time with all that you play. You're here on the Game Find. Bye, guys.
Bye.